Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is a game that requires little to no introduction. Seasoned gamers will have carried out multiple playthroughs. However, if you're late to the party, take heart, this is still one of the most enjoyable and unbelievably vast worlds to explore. Gorgeous and detailed visuals, engaging combat, and the next battle around the nearest corner. Hours of quests, hordes of weapons, and several spells to learn. Dragons, skeletons, trolls, and witches swarm the countryside. Bask in the variety of open-world RPG details and upgrades for you to forge yourself into a hardened warrior. This game is filled with great little details that seem to keep coming no matter how much you've played. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a medieval open-world RPG game. In this game, players are taking the role of a young man named Henry. The son of a blacksmith, a civil war breaks out, and Henry finds himself the only survivor among his friends and family. Now fueled with anger, Henry sets out for revenge. This is a very narrative-driven RPG, and it's aimed to be more realistic. There's a dynamic world here that will change depending on your actions within the game. Meanwhile, you'll be able to freely explore the different villages, castles, and vast fields. With that said, you can easily sink countless hours into this game. In fact, the game is a bit more rewarding the longer you play, as you'll find starting out Henry is rather weak. However, you'll slowly build Henry up with his stats and gear to make him an unstoppable force to reckon with. The Legend of Zelda franchise is so beloved and it has been around for decades now. In this game, we're following Link in a new open-world experience, where Hyrule is in trouble with Ganon nearing his escape to once again wreak havoc. After awakening from a long slumber, Link begins his journey in clearing Hyrule out from evil monsters as he prepares for his battle against Ganon. Similar to the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a thrilling open-world RPG that has several different locations to visit and quests to take on. The game doesn't give any direction on where to go or what to do next. You'll slowly figure things out on your own when battling enemies, clearing out shrines, and completing a slew of puzzles. When you feel ready, then you're able to attempt to take down Ganon himself, but chances are you'll spend endless hours venturing around this open-world game, exploring just what all it offers. Since this game launched, fans have quickly ranked Breath of the Wild as the best installment to the Legend of Zelda franchise, and likewise, critics have praised this game with incredible reviews. It's certainly one of the games that are a must-have if you own either a Nintendo Wii U or the latest console hybrid, the Nintendo Switch. Heading now to the most recent game on this list, Elden Ring is the arguable game of the year, and for some, it really isn't an argument. The title puts you in a medieval realm that comes partially from the mind of George R.R. Martin, who knows a thing or two about such realms. Your mission is simple, to scour the land and defeat various foes so you can collect and reassemble the Elden Ring. But such a journey will not be easy, and it will not be without pitfalls. You'll need to make your character as strong as possible to fight the enemies ahead. But how you fight them is up to you, because From Software made Elden Ring open world so you can take on the enemies and lands in any order you wish. Here's another franchise you'll see a few of in this list. Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord was the highly anticipated sequel to the game that would let you go nuts with medieval armies as you waged a campaign for your country. In a twist though, this game is set 200 years before the previous title, giving you a new perspective on the land of Calradia and the forces that you'll be using to defend it or take it as your own. The game is expansive in every way. You'll get to make your own alliances, and of course, enemies. Your character will grow with each new experience, and you'll have to lead troops into massive battles to ensure you come out on top. While it may be really old, Mount and Blade Warband still stands as one of the best of the Mount and Blade series. Not the least of which is that it's an expansion and not something you need to have played the original game in order to have fun with. In this game, you'll get to recruit a group of warriors and send them out to try and stop a massive war that has gone on for too long. As you battle, you'll get more and more territory, and you'll lead your troops all the way into the throne room where you can claim the land for yourself. Most medieval titles focus on knights or lords, but in medieval Dynasty, it focuses on the common man. Or in this case, a common man in you. You are someone who has fled from the wars of the medieval world you live in and just want to try and build up your own home and community to try and live a peaceful life. You'll start out with nothing and learn skills over time as you grow, build, and expand what is yours. Grow a family, build a community, and expand to the lands all around you. Go on quests, explore the world itself, and survive to make your own dynasty.
Ah, The Witcher.
Points for poetic placement aside, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is still very much one of the best games of the modern era, if not any era. Because in this medieval world with all sorts of monstrous twists in it, you'll play the one and only Geralt of Rivia, who once again will be put on a journey to save the world, while also saving someone very close to him in the process. Magic and might are the names of the game here, and you'll need both to defeat cunning and frightful monsters on your journey, as well as needing to use your own cunning to navigate all the relationships and friendships you've made and to see where they all go. With news of the next Assassin's Creed games upcoming, it's time to go back in time and get, or finish, the previous title. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will put you in the role of a Viking who has made landfall in what will be known as the UK. But in this time and place, it's settled upon by many different nations, all of whom you must topple in order to try and make this the new homeland of your people. Travel the massive land and take part in all sorts of battles, including mighty sieges where you'll either defend your own castle or try and capture another. Just so you know, there will be 2 Elder Scrolls games on this list, the first of which will be the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. In many people's minds, this was the game that helped separate the Elder Scrolls into a major franchise. Not just because of the graphical improvements it was making via the new technology, but the freedom of what you could do and be. You could literally be any race or kind of character you wanted to be, and that level of freedom was still really new at the time. Plus, the lands you'd explore were full of content and ensured that you always had something to do no matter what path you wanted to take. Graveyard Keeper is very much a spoof of medieval games and RPGs as a whole, because here, you'll be playing as a person who owns a graveyard. There's a lot of money to be made in such a field if you do things correctly, so why not do all you can to make the most of your graveyard? After all, who cares about the dead, or the living for that matter? You'll have to face ethical choices to further yourself and your graveyard, and you will get to do quests and explore dungeons. It just might not go the way you think at times. If you're looking for more of an MMORPG flair, you need to check out Black Desert Online. Black Desert Online tries to be one of the most expansive and rewarding MMOs out there by trying to give players literally as many options as possible. For example, while you naturally have the option to go and battle your way through the game and its many quests, you don't have to. You can do all sorts of other activities and leave the fighting to others. Or, you can just go and explore the massive world which the team put a lot of time and effort into in order to make it look beautiful. Enter the world and see it for yourself. Okay, so you want a medieval game that is pretty much only about combat? Sure, we can do that for you. Mordhau is a title that'll put you against scores of enemy players in a variety of battle modes that really focuses on the melee combat. For example, you can go into massive skirmishes, or join up with friends to take on its version of the Horde mode. Or, you can play with up to 63 other players for massive warlike battles that are just begging for you to participate in. Plus, it'll be realistic medieval combat. You'll feel like you're really on the battlefield here, and thus have a blast as you fight.
One skull, two tenants, and no solution in sight.
The Baldur's Gate franchise is one of the most respected RPG lines out there, and for good reason. The games constantly bring their best with their RPG stories and combat, and fans know the quality will be there. This time around, with Baldur's Gate 3, it's the team behind Divinity 2 Original Sin who are bringing this game to life. So you can expect another very deep RPG experience from it. You are a character of whom a parasite has been placed in your brain, and as such, new powers are emerging within you. But what will you do with them? Will you use them to do good in the world? Or will you embrace the darkness within and become the evil that everyone fears? Play the game and find out! The Lord of the Rings is another perfect example of taking the concept of medieval times and adding a fantastical element to it in order to make it more grand and sweeping. Middle-earth's Shadow of War leans heavily on the medieval clash side of things, as you'll once again take the role of a certain ranger fused with an Elven Lord spirit as you try and take down the evils of Sauron. This time around though, you'll get to build your own army of creatures from Mordor itself in order to stave off Sauron's might. Partake in mighty sieges, take your territory, then march on Mount Doom itself.